We're out here at the Superdome, week 2 of the NFL season, Saints versus the 49ers, and this probably isn't the matchup you were envisioning when you saw the schedule come out. No Brock Purdy today, a ton of guys hurt for the 49ers. They're down to some of their reserves. Juwan Jennings is expected to play for them though, so that is one more explosive piece for that offense. Opposite Ricky Pearsall to complement Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson and Juszczyk in the backfield. But George Kittle is not playing for them at tight end. So there are a lot of advantages, I think, this week for the Saints that weren't expected to be there when this game came out on the schedule. So it's a little bit more winnable than it could have been. So how did the Saints get there? Well, I think number one, Spencer Rattler just needs to stay within himself. It was frustrating last week to see 4.65 yards per pass attempt, but I don't think you want to see him trying to do too much in this game. I think the key for him is just to complete more than the 58% of the passes that he hit on last week and try to be a little bit more efficient and move the ball. Now, I do think the Saints need to stick with the run better than they did last week. They kind of abandoned it in the second half, and for the team to have a chance this week, they're going to have to be good at that, and I think that would be something good to exploit against a 49ers front that's a little bit soft in the middle of that interior defensive line. Got some injuries there, some guys that are just getting started in their career, not a fearsome bunch in that interior. So I think it can be run on today, and I think the Saints need to stick with that. Now, the other thing, need to get the explosive playmakers involved a little bit more in that intermediate area of the field. You don't necessarily have to be reckless with how you push the ball down the field, but Chris Olave needs to get more touches in areas where he can maybe make some things happen. Same thing goes for Rashid Shaheed. And I like what they did with Juwan Johnson last week, but maybe a little bit more variance this week. One thing to keep an eye on, predictability. 94% of the passes where Johnson lined up in the slot were passes last week. Change up that look a little bit. Maybe fool them into biting on something and make them pay. So there's a lot of stuff that I think the Saints can do better this week than they did last week. Obviously, penalties have to be better. Obviously, they need to do more to generate some stuff on those third down plays on defense. Third down defense was definitely a weak area last week. That has to be a bit better. And I think one of the ways to be better at that is to be a little bit better on first and second down. So we're going to have an eye on all that stuff throughout the day today. There are a lot of things, again, that the Saints can do better, but Mac Jones is playing quarterback for the 49ers this week. Pressure him a little bit. He'll throw some picks, take advantage of that stuff, make some plays, steal some possessions. Maybe you get out of here with the win in the first 4 that you weren't supposed to be able to get.